Packers fans out here to stay. Cheeseheads green and gold all day. Jordan Love lead us to the bay. Every game we find a way. Green Bay hustle, grind it up. Hit the field, we don't bluff. Touchdown dances, feel the love. Jordan's got that MVP stuff. It's time for all, let's go. Packers bringing that show. It's time for all, you know. Green and gold gonna glow. Lambeau Field, our sacred ground. Feel the vibe, hear the sound. Packers fans so loud and proud. Jordan Love, he's wearing the crown. Lambeau Field, our sacred ground. Feel the vibe, hear the sound. Packers fans so loud and proud. Jordan Love, he's wearing the crown.
Aloha and welcome back to another episode of the Ohana Packers Edition podcast. Today, Iowa Joe and I recap a wet fart of a game from the Packers where they earned every bit of that second loss on the 2025 season. Joe, a bunch of trends and decision-making that we've been harping on for the past month and a half finally came back to bite the Packers fully in the ass at home. I know that neither of us really partake in told you so reporting or anything like that, but honestly, there's a part of me that's kind of puffing my chest out about things that we were like, we fucking told you to stop fucking around with this stuff, and you still did anyway. And I'm pissed off that it cost the Packers a loss, but this is one of those where it's like, if you guys start taking this shit more seriously, this could be looked back on one of those it was good for the team losses, and I fucking hate those, but so much of this game is just like Marisol was like, you sound mad, but you don't sound that mad. I was like, because it's stuff that I've been, and she goes, I've heard, she's like, there's a few things I recognize that you've been harping on, whether during other games or in episodes or whatever, and I said, yep, they just continue to do the same stupid ass shit every game, and honestly, like I said, we're going to go over into all of it. There aren't very many good things from this game.
Well, do you just want to jump right in, or do you want to go on a rant? Because when you go on a rant, we get a lot of listeners.
Do I suck them into the whole episode? Do I make Clark Griswold blush now, or do I save it for later on when I get to say, holy shit, where's the Tylenol?
That causes autism, you know.
No. He backed off because the lawsuit must have been coming down the pipeline. He backed off that shit real fast.
But yeah, we can just go ahead and jump in with them that way.
We'll try and be nice for 15 minutes, and then we'll... All right. Hey, this one is the result of one of the worst possible things that could happen this season. Tucker Kraft's knee might have just disintegrated today, but god damn it, Luke Musgrave had a decent game. It was much too little, much too late. I know. That route was not a Musgrave route. When I saw the replay, I was like, oh my god, they had him run a double move. But he stayed on his feet and he made a 20-yard catch. They're going to need more of that. I know all the reports right now is that they're fearing for ACL, all that stuff. The few
Did they come out and say ACL? I know that LaFleur said it didn't look good, or it doesn't look good. But I also saw what's the one Twitter doctor say that he thinks it could be an MCL.
Yeah, and so that's what I was going to get into is the and I forgot. I think that's Jeff. The one I think he's a 49ers fan, but yeah, he does. Chow didn't even mention the ACL on his. But yeah, Dr. Jeff was... I
think is the one that said that it looked like an MCL deal.
Yeah. And Dr. Jeff also said, like, yeah, you always going to fear for the ACL, but he's like, main point of concern is a bad MCL sprain that's going to, probably be long enough that you need a short-term IR stint anyway kind of thing and stuff. So, I mean, that's the absolute best-case scenario, that it's like a grade 2 or 3 MCL sprain, which is still going to knock Tucker out till about Christmas, being totally realistic. But at least that way you're going to get him back at some point this season. But they needed...
That's what I said to Brian on our post game was that we can hope and pray or whatever you want to whatever deity you want or whatever, that it's just an MCL deal.
Yeah.
Because long-term wise, yeah, he's going to be out till maybe the end of the season, but if it's an ACL, he's done.
Yeah, yeah. And I do think that, and I did see some people say it's kind of good that he didn't just immediately get ruled out, because usually if it's a bad ACL, you can tell off the bat that that thing is toast and stuff. I don't know. But going back to the good thing, like I said, we got some good out of Musgrave, and they're going to need more of that going forward. The big thing there is that LaFleur has to use him like he's Luke Musgrave and can't be like, well, my tight end one's out and I'm going to put Luke Musgrave in and have him do the same shit I was having Kraft do. He can't. Kraft can do a lot of stuff Musgrave can do. Musgrave can't do much of the stuff Kraft can do, so you've got to reshuffle it and stuff.
And we were kind of seeing that because when Kraft went down, they were trying to get Musgrave in there to block a little bit, and it just wasn't happening. Yeah,
and like, that's going into the
Fitzpatrick is that good of a blocker.
No, and that's why I understand why they wanted to see what Fitzpatrick is and stuff, because I do think Sims kind of topped out as what he is. He's like just sort of an inline blocker he has the athleticism to kind of surprise you downfield every once in a while kind of thing. But, those are kind of few and far between plays. But I always thought that Sims was the best inline blocker on the team after Kraft. At certain things, maybe better than Kraft at certain inline blocking stuff. And that's why I didn't like that they cut him for Watson. I understand that it was sort of like, it kind of got to the point of it's kind of him or Haversick at that point, and we'll get into that topic of discussion later on too. But yeah, they're gonna have to figure things out on the fly, and like I said, it gives me hope that we'll see some stuff from Luke going down the road, because he just has been a total afterthought all season, save for like that one downfield play against the Commanders, and it was good to see him catch a 20-yard pass again today.
Yeah, I said it. I was really excited. The 3 times that he caught the ball, he managed to stay on his feet. It wasn't like
even the one where he set up the 4th and 2. I was like, oh no, he's gonna fall down and it's gonna be 4th and 5. He actually got them like 4 extra yards on that play. And again, it was a Kraft play where it's like he kind of like chips and then runs like a hitch, and then he has to catch it, turn all the way around, and get up to speed and stuff like that. And yeah, it kind of looked like a battleship avoiding a torpedo kind of thing, but at least he turned it into 4th and short where you were like, okay, we're going for it, definitely, kind of thing.
Well, then there's the one play, I can't remember who he threw it to. Maybe it was one of the outs to one of the running backs or whatever. But even, I think we had Greg Olsen today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hard for me to tell because I had to sail the 7 seas because we didn't get it in our area. So the stream that I was watching, while the picture quality was good, the stream quality wasn't. It was jerky, so it was hard to tell who was actually talking and doing what, but it sounded like Greg Olsen. But anyway, there's one of them later in the game where Musgrave is running like what's that route? Where it's not like slant, it's more of a curve up and out. But instead of, and I know Jordan was under some pressure, but he could have heaved it easily because Musgrave was wide open. But he managed to get it short to, I want to say it was one of the running backs, or maybe it was Dobbs or something like that. They still got the first down or whatever, but if he would have hit Musgraves and Musgraves' legs would have stayed under him, he'd been there for a touchdown. Easily.
Yeah, that was the first play of the game. Yeah. Or the first Packers play, yeah.
So it was amazing that he was doing what he was doing. Now, hopefully we can keep that going with him. But again, you're not going to be able to rely on him as an inline blocker like you could Tucker. And even Tucker's not a great inline blocker, but he's sufficient.
Yeah. He gives you the two-way. He's good enough that he makes the offense able to play 2 ways with him in there.
And I don't like comparing him to this, but he is kind of like a Rob Gronkowski in a way, where they're sufficient in blocking, but they're more of a playmaker than they are anything. And that's going to be a huge loss. And I did mention this in one of our group chats. If this is long term like the fear is, them releasing Sims is going to hurt.
Yeah.
Because now you've got Musgraves, you've got Fitzpatrick, who is whatever, he's more of a fullback than he is a tight end, but he's even not really that great of an inline blocker. He's okay for a lead blocker, but not inline. And then when you look at the practice squad, they've got Josh Wiley, which is just another Musgraves. So they have no inline blockers when it comes to the tight end. So it's going to be interesting what the corresponding move is going to be for them. If it wasn't for him in Denver, I could honestly be all aboard of bringing Big Dog back and letting Mercedes Lewis be the inline blocker for a while.
I mean, they can sign him because he's only on their practice squad.
Right, but we'll see what happens out there, and because I think they activated him for today, and I don't know what he was able to do, so I'll have to do some research on that and see if he's still got his legs underneath him or not. And it might be something like that they're going to have to do, because they don't have an in-line blocker on the team unless they decide to do what Pittsburgh's been doing and use the offensive lineman or go back to the old Barry U71 formation or U72 or whatever it was, where they just bring an extra lineman out when they want to do something, which is hard to do when you can't trust any of your offensive linemen at the moment. But I got to throw a good one out there, and in a way, it's a forced good one, and force is the word that I'm going to use for it, because it's got to be Romeo. Romeo stepped up, but it was like Jordan was force-feeding Romeo. He wasn't trusting anybody else. He just wanted to go to Romeo, which, hey, whatever. Romeo is a great receiver for the Packers. I won't say he's like a top 5 receiver in the league or whatever, but he's a great receiver for the Packers. He's a reliable guy and all that stuff. I know they were down Wicks. Watson is on a pitch count. Golden would go out later with a shoulder injury. Although, what's weird with that is I swear I saw him back on the field late in the third quarter, early fourth quarter.
Yeah, he was kind of...
They ruled him out.
He was kind of in and out. Yeah, I don't know if he got taken out eventually or whatever. And then even the Watson one, and oh God, I'm going to have to agree with his dad. It was so weird how he got taken out of the game when, like, he hadn't even gotten hit for a while, kind of thing. Who knows?
I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, Dobbs was good. What was it? It was 10 targets, 9 catches or something like that. I have the stats.
7 catches.
7 catches on 10 targets for 91 yards, but he didn't get any touchdown. And this is why I said it was really not a great game. They just kept force-feeding Romeo, is because the next highest receiver or next highest target is Josh Jacobs with 5. And I understand that they were saying the wind was really bad today, so it was hard, but you would think with the way Jordan was just chucking the ball around that there was nothing wrong out there. And he looked horrible today. So we'll get into that a little bit later, but yeah, I got to go with Dobbs as a good.
Yep. Honorable mention.
I can think of one more out.
Xavier getting that interception, almost forcing a fumble, like almost getting a strip sack fumble a couple plays before that, then getting the interception but yeah, kind of out after.
But that whole play is going to go in my stale. I can only think of one more good one.
Yeah, so, what you got?
Josh Jacobs. He was doing as well as he could with what little he was given. He still managed to get average 5.1 with 87 total yards and a touchdown. So, I got to give it to him, because what little he was given with what the line was giving anybody. Well, even they struggled with Emmanuel Wilson, and we've seen how Emmanuel has really stepped up when he's been called on. For the Soul Stealer, I got to give him one.
Yep, good call. Good call. All right.
You want to move on?
Yeah, we'll move on.
What's this stale shit?
So do you want to go first or you want me to go first?
I'll go first. So my stale shit thing for this game, Halfley falling too much in love with contain rush against mobile quarterbacks. And the reason I bring it up today is because next week they play Hurts, and we saw how he played Hurts in the playoffs last year. And I don't like taking that angle against a guy like Bryce Young, who is coming off of injury, an ankle injury, and you're letting him kind of just sit there in the pocket and like feel the game out kind of thing. This was the week to engage Quay and Edge as blitzers and use the other one as like a pseudo spy short zone defender and just like light up Bryce at every opportunity you could kind of thing. And one other spot, and Olsen kind of pointed it out on the broadcast. I forget who brought it. I was listening to that brought it up. I think it might have been Robert Mays on the Athletic Football Show. They're saying how we show double A gap pressure so often, but we never bring it. And Carolina called a dive play into it, knowing we're probably not bringing it. And Green Bay gives up a first down, partly because Quay and Edge take 2 steps to bail out of the look, and then they're like, oh shit, it's a run. And they're like already driven past the line of scrimmage and stuff. And so it's like, I give Halfley a little more of a pass because more of his stuff has worked than LaFleur's has. But also, you've got to throw the counter to some of these things because you're getting predictable. And like I said, and going back to just the mush rush against, like even against Hurts, you can't just go that bad. And I know what Hurts did against the Cowboys in week 1 and all that stuff. But you have 3 guys who should be relative cheat code players in terms of creating quick pressure. Obviously, Parsons is one, and then your 2 linebackers in Quay and Edge and how they can attack the interior of the pocket as a A-gap blitzer. And those are the things where I'm like, you have got to be more creative in how you attack teams. Like, you just have to. Yes, I understand that you don't believe this Carolina offense should be able to string drives together and stuff. And the dumb thing about it is the numbers kind of play it out. They only score 3 times. One of those is off the interception and all that kind of crap, right? But at the same time, don't turn the heat down on them. This is a O-line that's starting 2 backups, lost another starter midway through the game, and you're like, we'll kind of slow play it and not put the pressure on them whenever they have to pass. And I know it kind of mostly worked out for Green Bay, but especially when you're getting chewed up in the run game, you have to start throwing punches back at some point. And Halfley kind of just let it happen a little too much in both the pass and the run game. And so that's a stale one that I'm marking down because it ain't getting easier for you next week against the Eagles, and it ain't getting easier the week after against the Giants. Even though Scadabo's out, Dart's going to run the ball, and the Giants are going to try to run the ball on you too. So it's like, you better figure shit out.
Yeah, and it's also pretty sad when the only sack of the game comes from your safety off a safety blitz. And even then, that's a technical safety because all he did was knock the ball out.
Yeah. Or sack, you mean.
Yeah. And so it was bad. They were getting some pressures, but not much. And you're right. He's just coming off of an ankle injury. You kept hearing it when the commentators were talking about, oh, well, you can tell he's not putting pressure on his leg to throw because of the ankle injury and stuff like that. So for them to not take advantage of stuff like that, it really sucked. And I said it on socials. I don't know if they were just way too drained from the Pittsburgh game, or they're looking ahead to the Eagles game, or a combination of both, or they were more worried about how they looked in their uniforms than they did playing in the game. They just didn't show up. The defense as a whole didn't show up. And this will lead me into my stale when it comes to talking about the Xavier strip sack. Why didn't Devontae and Quay try to attack it?
Yeah.
It just sat there for a bit.
That is just a representation of how this team treated this game. And like I said, you kind of just thought you could sleepwalk in. And Doc Rivers had this great rant when he was late in his career as the Celtics head coach, where he's yelling at the big three. He's yelling at KG, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce, and Rondo, and the starters. And he goes, y'all went out there and you thought, oh, these guys are coming in and thinking, it's the big bad Celtics. Oh, no, what do we do? And that's how the Packers approach this game, is it's like, oh, we're the number one team in the NFC, and the Panthers are 4-4, and they're just, the weather's not great, and they're not this and that, and they'll just kind of roll over at some point. Well, no.
Keep going. I got to step away for a minute.
Oh, yeah. So, that was a microcosm for this whole game in terms of how prepared they were to play. The piss, was it hot or not? Where was the pedal to the metal? No, none of it was. This team just walked into this game. I don't think they even knew the game kicked off. I think the only reason they know this game happened is because Tucker got injured. That's a problem. So, yeah, it's really frustrating. It's really disappointing. And luckily, you get blitz pressure from Ed a couple plays later, forces a bad throw from Bryce Young, and then X gets the pick. So, that's why this was my last bright spot for the day, because, he did get the one turnover. It's just, I'm going to hold it on until Joe comes back.
I'm here. Even Olsen and them were talking about it. That's what the defense is taught. Any ball on the ground, you grab. Whether it's live, whether it's dead, or whatever. That's my thoughts while I kind of catch my breath here.
Yeah. But anything else you had for stale, or I think everything else pushed into the freaking moldy this week, honestly.
Not that I can think of. Maybe Savion a little bit, because this was probably his bad game.
It was his rookie moment, yeah.
Yeah.
But even that...
You could even see it. LaFleur was telling him on the sideline, you tuck it in your outside arm. You don't keep it on your inside arm. It's like, yeah, I get it. So he's learning, third-round rookie, whatever, but...
Even that flows into a moldy for me, so, yeah.
All right, you want to just go ahead and hit it then?
Yeah.
It's a moldy cheat.
Okay. So, what are we? Week 9? So, it's been 5 weeks since the last time I was pissed off this much at LaFleur.
Is it week 9?
Yeah, week 9, because we're 5-2-1. So, we've played 8 games, had the bye already. So, yeah, it's week 9. So, it's been 5 weeks since the last time we did one of these. So, Matt LaFleur, yeah, he has the shiny record. He's created a lot of really good offenses. He's groomed Jordan Love, blah, blah, blah. Your team... every year comes out and shits the bed against bad competition. It was a problem in 2019 when you got waxed in LA by the Chargers. It was a problem in 2020 when you couldn't get up to play the Jags and you let the Vikings run all over you in the windiest day in Lambeau Field history. In 2021, you couldn't get up for week 1. And even the playoff game, honestly, you looked like you would have rather been anywhere else but playing that game. 22 was a whole bunch of that. 23, you had a whole bunch of that. But the team wasn't that great either. And then this year, every opportunity where you've been a double-digit favorite, you have come out and just looked dead as a doorknob, flat to come out of the gates. And, I know that, youngest roster in the league, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. At some point, that buck falls at the head coach's feet. You are a reflection of whatever stamp your head coach wants to put on as your identity. And LaFleur's identity across his 7 years has been, let's control the narrative of the game. Not, let's go embarrass people. Let's put our foot on people's throats. Let's go put 30-something on these guys. It's, let's do enough to win this game on our terms. That's a fucking piss-poor attitude to have going into games. And LaFleur will never admit that that's how he calls games. Wanting to establish the run against a team that shouldn't be able to stay on the field with you, that's stupidity. You should be getting your quarterback in a rhythm and smoking these fools off the field from you. And no, Love didn't have a great game today. Love honestly should have been in the stale because he wasn't overall his stat line was, outside of the interception, was okay, but the interception was a bad throw. And at the same time, on some level, quarterbacks all have that, well, I got to save the day because whatever ain't happening, this, that, what. And when you don't get your quarterback in a rhythm early in a game because it's more important for you to run up your O-line's asses for 2 yards a pop than it is to get your quarterback and your passing game in a rhythm, your quarterback at some point is going to like, fuck it, I'm going to be the hero and I'm going to turn the tide in the game. That's what that interception on the throw to Watson was. That was, oh God, LaFleur is going to call another stupid run play in a little bit. I just dug us out from the shadow of our own goalpost. Let's try and loosen him up deep. And it was the wrong time for that thought process by Love, but I understand why, because on some level, he, in his mind, is thinking, how many more chances am I going to get to throw the ball? And like I said, you can't excuse that mistake for that mindset. That's not a good approach to the game from Love. But you, as when I say you, LaFleur, you are looking at, oh, I want to put together these 12-play drives. We're going to possess the ball. We're going to wear down the defense. No, you have the talent advantage when your offense against their defense. You should be stretching them vertically more than you are horizontally. That's a big one. Stop trying to trick play the opposition into submission. Hit them in the mouth. Your run game can't do it. So push the ball vertically and attack them in the deep and intermediate parts of the field. That's how your roster is built to do that on offense. You can't say that, oh, because Jacobs had a good year last year. It ain't last year. We're halfway through this season, and your run game has sputtered in every game except for like 2. So stop acting like it's 2024. It's 2025. Jacobs is, like you said, Jacobs is a man for trying to make chicken salad, chicken and innards this season. But dude, like, wake up. And we got the same bullshit from him after the game. Oh, it's on me. I've got to have this team more prepared. You've been saying that for 7 years. 7 years. And then you do the, oh, we're self-scout and blah, blah, blah. Have you ever admitted the problem might be you, Matt? Like, when the players have changed, the quarterback has changed, the running back has changed, the offensive line for the most part has changed, the receivers have changed, the defensive coaching staff has changed. A lot of your offensive staff has changed. It's you. You are the constant. And this same thing against the same kind of undermanned opponent happens again and again and again in your tenure. At some point, look in the mirror and make wholesale changes. And the cherry on top of the sundae is him planting his flag, whether he wants to admit it or not, in McManus Island. Because, God damn it, we've been saying it for 3 weeks that at some point it's going to bite them. And thank God it bit them in the ass in November and not in the playoffs. Because holy hell, if McManus had... That's the thing. He was shit last week in Pittsburgh, and everyone gave so many excuses for why you can't trust Haversick. Why I haven't trusted McManus this whole season? He has not split the uprights on back-to-back kicks all season. He has been wayward left and right all season, every other kick. And the big problem I have is that even before he hurt himself, he was pulling kicks to the left. What does that... I'm not an expert on kicking at all, but to me, what it looks like is he's a right-footed kicker. It's like a right-handed batter. You start to lean and you try to pull everything down the left field line to yank the ball out. He knows that his leg strength is going. He saw the 61-yarder that Haversick smoked with ease, and he's like, uh-oh, like, I don't think the kid is as good as me, but I gotta show that I still have some juice in the leg. And when you start yanking kicks in the same direction, what that tells me is he's trying to sell out for power that ain't there anymore. And I don't understand why he's doing it on sub-50-yard kicks. That's 2 44, 43-yard kicks the last 2 weeks that he has ganked out the left side of the upright. And what's doubly worse is not only did LaFleur look at last week and say, nah, it's okay, another week. He went and same thing happened this week. But what really, really, really pisses me off about this week is you made the bad decision last week. You made the bad decision again this week. And then you let your bad decision-making and McManus' shitty kicking affect your decision-making later in the game. When you don't have, like, 2/3 of your receiving options, and you're like, but we're still going to go for it on 4th and 8 because I don't know if he can make a 35-yard field goal. LaFleur, you made this bed, you dressed this bed, you better lay down in this goddamn bed and fucking go night-night in it, because everyone was screaming that this was a problem. And you sat, okay, there's so many, like, there's still a couple more things, but you saw what McManus did last week, and you didn't keep Haversick up again this week. That is, I won't go so far as to say it's a fireable offense. It should be a fireable offense on McManus, who both you and I were never comfortable with. The worst thing that happened is that he came in and he kicked 2 game-winning kicks back-to-back weeks. That was the worst thing that could have happened, is then everyone overlooked the fact that he's Mason Crosby with an off-field incident. To go look at their career numbers, they're basically the same kicker, and this dude kicked at altitude for almost all of his NFL career. That mattered. So, like, and then people were getting on me last week when we're like, "Oh, you're just riding high on the fact that Haversick kicked the 61-yarder." No, what I'm riding high on is I saw this kid kick 7 kicks, and they were all dead center mass down the middle of the field goal post. I don't care where he kicked them from. McManus, like I said, he shook them. He almost missed the game-tying PAT today. Like, he cost the team 6 points.
I will say this, not to defend him, because I fully agree with a lot of what you're saying right now, but they said that the wind was swirling pretty bad at Lambeau, and that caused even the Panthers kicker to miss, even though it was a little bit longer, missed that one PAT, and he almost shanked the other one because of it. So, not to give him full excuses or anything like that, but the wind was pretty shitty today.
Right, and even more so, that's why are you relying on a guy who can't put power into the ball? That's, again, like I said, you make the inactive list after warm-ups. You can see what the field conditions are for the day of the game, and you're still like, decrepit old man leg is going to be good enough for us today. That's a coaching decision. And then on top of it, yes, I know he's a rookie who hasn't really proved anything. What did we say the Panthers are going to want to do today? They're going to want to run the ball at you. And you went and were like, we don't need a 5th defensive tackle. Just stupid upon stupid upon stupid decision-making. And like I said, the biggest irritation I have with this fan base is the reaction to, who are you going to get that's better than LaFleur? That's the same stupid-ass reason that got us 2 more years of McCarthy than we probably should have. That and running the table at the end of 2016 extended McCarthy far past his expiration date. That attitude, I think, is some of the dumbest. And no, I don't have a good answer for who I would pick to be if LaFleur wasn't back next year. And I think he will be. Don't think they're going to fire him. He has 1 more year, but I think he's just going to... I really do believe that policy is going to take it year by year and play it out, kind of thing, because policy's looking at it probably like, he's got this year, and they're going to make the playoff. Like, they'll make the play. If they don't make the playoffs, then, okay, all bets are off. Like, he's all done. Bets are off. Yeah. So, but, unless they win the Super Bowl, there is nothing anywhere near a lock for him getting an extension, because I can definitely see policy saying, Brian made a trade that shouldn't have happened for a top-tier play, a top 5 player in the league. And yes, there's still some holes on this roster, but you and your staff should have been able to figure out how to land the bird on this one. And, right or wrong, that's how a owner/CEO position guy is going to look at it. And like I said, I don't think they'll fire LaFleur unless they miss the playoffs. But at the same time, like, Matt, dude, you got to get your head out of your ass and figure this shit out. There is a whole lot. And so 2 things. One, I hate who are you going to hire instead? That is a crap comeback for the head coach is a problem. The other side of it is, Tyler Herrick, I love you, buddy, but no, you do not burn the tape of this game. There is so much stuff that you can learn from this crap sandwich that you put on film today. Some of the ones, like I said, we already went over picking McManus and letting McManus's early. That's the thing, is like, it would have been a 35-yard field goal and you didn't go for that one. Inconsistent tackling, poor run fits, bad run blocking. The big one, though, for me, that stands out like a sore thumb is, okay, Aaron Banks got injured early in the game. Why the did you put Sean Ryan in at left guard? I understand that we did the whole, like, Jordan Morgan needs to stay in a spot. One, you are still rotating the two of them the past 2 weeks. And Ryan probably played better than him last week in Pittsburgh. Put Ryan at right guard and let Morgan play left guard. Why are you playing two guys out of position? Because you're playing Ryan at a spot he doesn't play in the regular season, and you're playing Morgan in a spot where he gets his ass kicked on a regular basis when anyone plays with power or physicality against him. The only sack that the Panthers got today is because lightweight Morgan got his ass shoved into Jordan's lap, and Jordan couldn't escape the pocket because of it. And that happens again and again and again on film. Like I said, my frustrations with this coaching staff is we see so many of the same kind of stupid decision-making process, and all we get is a sorry about your loss sympathy card level explanation from LaFleur after the game. And he did the thing where he's like, oh yeah, we're 1 for 5 in the red zone. We got to do something about that. Doofus, call stuff where guys run routes into the end zone. Like, I know you don't have a stereotypical jump ball player on this team, but stop running everyone short of the end zone. Like, there are so many flaws with how the team operates. And most of the issue, like I said, I had problems with how Hafley called the defense, and I'm worried about what that means for next week against the Eagles. But holy, this game was a game because your offense could not put more than 13 points on this Panthers defense. Hallelujah. Holy it, where's the Tylenol?
So there's so much to go on after that, but yes, I agree. Decision making has been horrible. Again, he's playing out of his scripting of plays has been nuts. You know, you rush it when you should be passing it. You're passing it when you should rush it. You're not putting your players in the right positions. You're not activating certain players that should be active for games. You're trusting players that maybe you shouldn't be trusting. I'm still not sold on Jordan Morgan at any spot on the offensive line at the moment. McManus, you know, what more can I say about him? I'm not, like I said, the only excuse I can come up with and it's not even an excuse for him, you know, it showed that it sucked for everybody, was the wind was a mess in Lambeau. But yeah, there's no other excuses you can make for it. And the one thing that I am going to disagree with you about, and it is ending up in my moldy part, is Jordan. Jordan looked like a first-year starter out there today because he was just chucking it. There was no rhyme or reason to a lot of throws he was making. He got lucky that Watson bailed him out on his long-ass throw because that was in double coverage. He probably hurt Golden with throwing him in double coverage. He threw the one interception into triple coverage. That could have got hung up in the air by the wind, but it still was into triple coverage. He almost gave up another interception because of wayward throw that he made towards the end zone. I don't think it was going to end for a pick six because I think Dobbs would have been right on him, but it had been fairly close. But his decision-making today was even suspect. Like I said, he looked like a first-year starter instead of a third-year man who's supposed to be the star quarterback of the team. I don't know. And like I said, the decision-making from LaFleur with a lot of his plays just didn't seem right. You can say the same thing about... Well, I'll give you this. Just to play devil's advocate here, I know he's the head coach and all that stuff, but being that he's got a certain person as his assistant head coach, he's relying too much on that assistant head coach and his decisions. And if Bisaccia is sitting there telling him, "Oh yeah, we're good with McManus. We're good with McManus. I got him fixed," then LaFleur could say, "No, Rich, you're wrong. We're going to bring this kid up." But he's relying on his coaches, which most NFL coaches are going to rely on their assistants and their coordinators to tell them when they think there's an issue. And if he's relying on Rich Bisaccia to sit there and tell him, "Yeah, we're good. McManus is good. He's good." What do you do about that? I know what I would do about it because it's bitten him in the ass for the last few weeks. But I mean, really, what do you do on it? And the other thing that I'm going to because I feel personally attacked when you were calling out people for using the, "Well, who are you going to get?" Well, it is a good excuse, but I'm not saying you fire LaFleur in the middle of the season type thing. Mine is, I've seen a lot of people say that they need to strip him of play calling duties.
No.
That's where I'm saying, who are you going to get? I don't
Agree.
trust.
Yeah.
I don't trust Stinovich to call plays. I definitely don't trust Rich Bisaccia to call plays. I don't know if there's a coordinator on the team that I don't trust Butkus, because I wouldn't say this to his face because he'd probably eat me. But right now, with the way the offensive line is playing, I don't trust Butkus. I can't think of who their wide receiver is. It Getsy that's the wide receiver?
No, Getsy's the passing game guy. So maybe I think
experience as an OC.
Yeah, I think you kind of give it to one of the passing or running game coordinator kind of guys or whatever.
And I know we've talked about it before. I don't know if he's still on the team as an advisor or if he's elsewhere, but you got Nathaniel Hackett. Maybe you trust him. I know he was an advisor during the training camp. I don't know if he's still there.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the status of that is. And yeah, so you get into that, and I do agree with you. LaFleur, I think it's all or nothing. Yes, okay, so there's some people who are like, "Oh, then what does he do?" He's still the guy who's coming up with the scheme. He's still devising the game plan and all that kind of stuff. The game plan usually is pretty good, but the thing that I worry about is, so if you decide, okay, taking away play calling, it's you're counting on that the time that LaFleur in game isn't spending on calling plays means that he's going to get better at all the managing the overall game and all that kind of stuff. I just don't think that's going to offset enough. I don't think the gain there is worth taking away his play calling. You know what I mean? And I think that's where we get around to it's kind of stupid to talk about taking away play calling from him. That's sort of the live by the sword, die by the sword in terms of you got him or not. Like you said, I think the best you can do is you take away crutches, and whoever is giving some of the feedback on some of this decision making, like you said, if it's if Bisaccia is the one that's "Oh no, yeah, we should trust McManus. If he says he's good kind of thing. Definitely throw that out on the side of the road and stuff. But yeah, I definitely agree with you there. And yeah, I'm not saying that Matt gets fired now or anything like that. I am. This season is doing. No. Yeah. I'm just clarifying that I think we're on the same page that it's policy. The way this season is playing out, policy is definitely well in the right position to hold the we are going to assess and reassess everything in real time and stuff. And yeah, and my thing is there's so many ways this season could go still. Yes, thank God the Vikings didn't fuck up the end of their game, and we're still almost by default still on top of the NFC North. But we are still on top of the division. You're a half game out of leading the conference still, and yada, 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 blah, 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 and all that. But this stuff has to stop. You should have at least 2 more wins on this season if you just took some games seriously. And you should have breathing room on top of not just, we're still winning the division. You should be able to be standing there laughing at the Lions for losing to a quarterback that everyone said was dead man walking. But no, it's instead we're like, oh, thank God JJ McCarthy didn't suck for one more week, kind of like that's the position Packers fans are in. And honestly, for Packers fans, you're now in the position of, oh shit, that's totally a game they could lose in 3 or 4 weeks. So here we are. like I said, you're in the position of every other team in this division has a side of them, a part of them or a side of them where they're an ass kicker. They want to embarrass you. They want to put your team in the ground. And I quoted you on Twitter. Our coach is the one who coaches like he's got 600 points a season and that's all. You ain't getting any more. There's no mortgaging from last. You can't. If we only scored 540, you don't get to roll over those 60 to this year. That's how he coaches. And like I said, you can just tell because, I was shocked he called the shot play on the first play of the game. But, there's so much east and west in the game plan. You get Jacobs going on the first drive. And honestly, LaFleur, the way that it is your fault is if some of these RPOs are totally Jordan's decision, you got to take them off the table because your run game is working. Do not activate the fucking RPO. Make them stop what you're doing. That Savion play is as much on LaFleur as it, yes, I know the whole, LaFleur wasn't the one who was out there and fumbled the ball. Why are you putting him in that position in that scenario? You've just creased Carolina on back-to-back plays. You're either running it again or you're going hard play action. None of this cutesy ball on the outside shit. Just attack. The Packers aren't the, put it in your face. You're not going to bite kneecaps like a Dan Campbell game, but you've got to go for kill shots in your own way, and throwing dumbass swing passes ain't the way to do it. So, but yeah, continue.
That was the play that he scored a touchdown on last week. So, I think they were hoping for magic to strike twice on that. That's why I don't completely fault him for that, because it's a game that it's a play that they've had success on. But I do agree that it was probably the wrong time to be doing it. That is more of a red zone type play than it is a, you're on your own 25-yard line type deal. But I've said it. We've said it. LaFleur played this game similar to the Browns game and the Dallas game. He wanted to play for the tie. He didn't want to play for the win. He didn't want to play for this. He played for the tie. And you could tell it. And like I said, it didn't help that Jordan was looking like a first-year starter. It didn't help that his offensive line couldn't, stop anything. And I don't know. It is getting worrisome because we're getting to that part of the season where it's going to be worrisome.
Right.
It's not even just the teams that they're going to be playing. It's just now these games are going to be more important because now standings are getting tighter.
Yep.
So even if you were to play, just hypothetically, hyperbole, let's say you play the Panthers again later on in the season. If you played again this game the way you played them then like you did now, that could be your difference between a 5th and 6th seed or a 6th seed and no playoffs at all. So that's where we're getting to that point of this season is we're running out of games pretty damn quick, and you can't just play scared.
Yep. And this one is getting a little into the weeds. I will throw one kind of moldy out there for the people who are like, oh, the Packers are disrespected because they just had one of the best wins on the season and no one takes them seriously, blah, blah. No one takes them seriously because they're one of the teams with a winning record who has the dumbest losses on the season. That's why they get some of these big wins, all that kind of crap. But that's why they're not atop anyone's power ranking, is because you hear all, and I know Packers fans don't like hearing it, but there's a reason the pundits look at the Packers and go, "What even is this team?" Like, so
yeah. And then you got to throw in the moldy Nixon because Nixon was looking rough today, and that's just become a week in, week out thing. And that's why I was never sold on him even from the start of the season. I have never believed him to be a number one corner. At most, he's a borderline number two.
yep, and he played
And
like 2 today.
yeah, and so I'm hoping these rumors of the Packers making phone calls are true, and I hope they can get something made. And I'm going to say something now that I said in the post game, and I've said all season, and you've said all season: Asante Samuel Jr. is not the answer. If what has been said about him this past week is true, and he just now got cleared to work out, and he just got cleared to, or he is getting cleared for contact, he is in no way, shape, or form ready to play in a football game. And the soonest he's going to play is probably the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season. So your best bet is to, what's the guy's name? Taylor out of New Orleans, or one of the two, Turner or Britt from Cincinnati, or something along. The dream would be a Denzel Ward, but price tag is not there. I know we kind of had that conversation in one of our group chats where his cost for his contract would definitely mean you're not keeping at least 2 of your own free agents.
And on top of that, he hasn't been good this season. So you're kind of like banking on playing for a contender is going to turn him back into the really good player he has been in the past, which is
and
spooky.
You're hitting that age mark. I think right now he's 28, going to be 29.
Yeah, and that's spooky. Like from the age point of view, and the like, you're counting on being added to a playoff chase, invigorating him. Like that's a spooky place to be for a contending team to like. It's not the same because it was injury related, but it just screams to me like it's gonna be like the Marshawn Lattimore trade was for the Commanders last year, where it's like you deal a third and a fifth, and you get like 2 games of him for the whole season, and it's like I said, I think Ward will play, but like how many of those games are realistically going to be good? That's the concern there.
And I do want to throw this out there. I do not see a Jeffrey Simmons or a Quinion Williams coming to Green Bay via trade, just because I don't think there's enough there in trade compensation, and again, contracts that you're not going to be able to keep a guy like Quay. You're definitely going to be saying goodbye to Romeo and at least one of, if not both of, Rasheed Walker and Sean Ryan. So we are at that point. But anything else you want to throw out there, or have we ranted and raved enough yet?
I think we've ranted and raved enough. That's all this game deserves at this point.
And really, as the defense as a whole was able to contain the pass game.
Yeah.
But that really beat them in the ass when it came to the rush game, because Dowdle came up with 130 friggin' rushing yards.
Yep.
So they didn't repeat the failures from the first time that they played the Panthers with Bryce Young and made him look like a superstar. He still looked like a dud, but the Panthers did just enough to make this team look like a
right. Yeah, and it's the like make him beat you, but don't make it easy on him kind of thing. Like that was the whole point of this game. Is like there's one thing this offense does well, and you let them do it to control the game on that side of the ball. That's not good football.
Oh, we might as well throw the referees out there too, because they were bastards.
Oh, like bad spot after bad spot all day. Like I can't believe New York kind of bailed Green Bay out in turn. Like I shouldn't say bailed out because people are going to think like, oh no, like the refs gave a first down when the guy was clearly a yard short of the first down. Then you had the one where
they almost nailed Cooper for
oh god, yeah.
yeah.
Even as it happened, I was screaming, "He slowed down!"
Well, that's what I was telling Brian during the post game. I go, they have a sideline judge for a reason.
Right.
He is supposed to be the guy that makes sure the guy is inbounds or out of bounds.
And that's the dumb shit that threw the flag!
And Bryce Young was at least 2 yards inbounds.
That totally overreacted to the fact that he slid like a bowling ball into a stack of bowling pins.
Like I told Brian, when you're 5 foot nothing, 100 and nothing, and you've got a bull coming at you, you're gonna fly like a friggin' kite.
Yep. So, yeah, that one, and then there was another piss poor spot. I think it was right before Dowdle's first touchdown where they like turned 3rd and 9 into 4th and 1, but it really should have been like 4th and 2 because the tight end is clearly a yard and a half short of where they marked the ball, and then Dowdle gets the first down by running it up the gut kind of thing and stuff. And it's like, and maybe they call a different, but it's like he got the first down by like 2 inches, and it's like if you mark the ball correctly, he doesn't get it kind of thing. Maybe, and they probably still go for it, but if you're at 4th and 2.5, it's like, is there enough space to run the ball here kind of thing? You know, like the decision gets a little bit more cloudy. It's not like in the middle of the field where it's like, oh, they're going to be playing deep. They're going to play their second level off. They're not going to play goal line defense. That stuff's all out the window. So, yeah, like, and then you have the play where Bryce Young breaks the pocket, and in the replay, Rashawn is clearly being bear hugged by Josh Nijman. And then on the 4th down, Dowdle converts. Josh Nijman has, I don't know who it was, he has all of whatever the defensive tackle in front of his, like, it's so clear. Again, you have 2 referees in the backfield with 4 eyes between them who are supposed to be watching those kind of plays. And Josh, it's not like he had the like hand and it kind of like got stuck. He had 2 fingers that are just like in there, and he's pulling and turning the face mask. And it's like, those are the kind of things that you absolutely cannot miss. Like, that's inexcusable.
And then there was the one where Nixon got called for his PI, but it was the same exact thing that the Carolina corners were doing like all game.
Yep.
So I hate having to keep say that stuff on here about referees and their shit calls, but it just seems to have gotten worse ever since Micah has called out the officiating crews.
Yep. So
I don't know. I'm already too down for all this shit. Do we need to go any further?
No. With that, we'll put a bow on this one. Turd bow, because that's what the Packers gave us. Thanks for checking us out. Hopefully the Packers will play better next week and give us a better effort. Otherwise, Philly's another team that will embarrass you, and they'll do it in Lambeau if you don't wake up for that game. They don't have
one's more expected because Philly is a much better team than the Carolina Panthers are.
Yep. And they seem to have found their mojo the last couple weeks. And the Packers, like, yeah, you had you had 3 good wins and all that kind of shit, but you just spend parts of those games looking listless. And Schneidman posted again, you came in averaging 7.7 points in the first half of your last whatever games, and you got worse at it this week because you only had 6. Like, just continuing to make things worse. Like, for a team that should be so talented and so, should be a considered contender, they're the one team that decides to make everything more difficult. Like, it's like, it's not enough to be pushing the boulder uphill. Let's push 2 boulders at the same time. That's what this team does to itself. But we won't continue to go on, and you already know they blew this one. Absolutely didn't show up, didn't care enough to show up.
I got one more thing to say. But this is where Conspiracy Joe comes out on. If I had to believe that the NFL is scripted and the NFL is rigged, today is another reason why this would go into the clips that I would be sending on to people. They talked that field goal so much about the kicker missing earlier, and this would be 2 times, or the second time this year that he's kicked a game-winning field goal, and he's an undrafted free agent that has had a ton of success so far this year, and 1 second left on the clock, and I said it right before the kick even happened. I put it right out on social media. The way they're talking it up, the kick's already going to go through the uprights. And guess what? It went through the friggin' uprights. So this is another clip that I would throw. I'm starting to believe we're not even watching games. I think they're hollow projecting AI out on the field, and that's what we're watching. And don't tell me that you were in the stadium watching it. They got hollow projectors out there showing this shit.
Yep.
I am going to get me a tinfoil hat here pretty quick if this keeps happening.
That's what happens when your team that's supposed to be a Super Bowl contender just plays down to competition, just unwilling.
I don't even want to hear the Super Bowl contendership, because this is making it look like 2010, where they have super highs and amazing lows, and then they're going to go on a run, and we're going to get that. And I don't want to win a Super Bowl that way. I want it to be like 96, where they go out, they dominate on both sides of the ball, they put up points, and they make the run all the way through the Super Bowl.
Yep, I agree with you. But we'll put a capper on that one. Check out the website, ohanapackers.org. Go to the shop. Please support us with merch so that the two of us can go on rants when the team gives us the opportunity to do so. Please check us out on social media at Ohana_Packers on Twitter, at Ohana Packers Edition on Instagram. Check us out on Facebook. Joe and I have started discussing we're going to do some giveaways in the near future like we have the last couple years. So keep an eye out for that. We'll be updating as we set that up. Please follow the podcast on your favorite podcasting apps. Please give us a like and a subscribe. And Joe's been really good about posting requests for questions, topics, all that kind of stuff. Whatever you want to hear, we want to know so that we can create the content you're looking for. The Packers sleepwalk their way into a stupid loss. Their second of the season, third really disappointing game of the season. And they have no time to lick their wounds. The Eagles are coming up on Monday Night Football next week. And the Packers better bring their A game or they're going to get embarrassed in Lambeau. For Iowa Joe, I'm Mike. Go Pack, go.
For one thing on that, with it being Monday night, if you have YouTube TV, you're not going to be able to watch the damn game. So you may have to set sail on the 7 Cs and get your eye patch out and your wooden leg and your parrot. But because my parents have YouTube TV right now, and we're trying to figure out how to get them to be able to watch the game, or my mom be able to watch the game on Monday night. And all it is because they're in a pissing match because they don't make enough friggin' money, even though they're billion-dollar companies. So just food for thought. If you have YouTube TV, you cannot watch the game unless you figure out another way. So start prepping for it.
Yep. So for Iowa Joe, I'm Mike. Go Pack Go and aloha.
Packers fans out here to stay. Cheeseheads green and gold all day. Jordan Love lead us to the bay. Every game we find a way. Green Bay hustle, grind it up. Hit the field, we don't bluff. Touchdown dances, feel the love. Jordan's got that MVP stuff. It's time for let's go. Packers bringing that show. It's time for green and gold gonna glow. Lambeau Field, our sacred ground. Feel the vibe, hear the sound. Packers fans so loud and proud. Jordan Love, he's wearing the crown. Lambeau Field, our sacred ground. Feel the vibe, hear the sound. Packers fans so loud and proud. Jordan Love, he's wearing the crown.